All right. We are live.
Hey,
Let's go check it out and make sure
we did it.
We
Still
did it.
2 minutes early, friends. You are watching Talking Toast, and we'll introduce ourselves in a minute, but you have 2 minutes to grab a friend, grab a drink, and grab your friend a drink.
That's right.
But don't take your friend's drink.
Let's see.
You have
We got it.
grab a drink.
All
Cheers.
right.
All right, we're doing this thing. Man,
There's-
I hit a wall about 2 hours ago. I just crashed and felt just an overwhelming sense of exhaustion. What?
Sorry, I heard something talking back. That was weird. Huh. Let me go check that out. It looks like it's not showing up on the Christian Temple page.
Oh, now it's sending it again.
Let's see what happens here.
So nope, it says unable to connect. We multi-stream this to YouTube on Talking Toast page and to Christian Temple's page on Facebook. But something funky is happening with the Christian Temple Facebook page. But that's okay, because people can always find us back on the Talking Toast page if need be. So we'll take a minute to...
Yeah, it's just going to keep going.
Okay.
Well, here, I'll go share it. I'll figure that out. Go ahead and talk for just a second.
Well, we'll take a minute to iron out the details and make sure that everything's working all fine. In the meantime, go ahead and drop us a chat and tell us where you're viewing from tonight. Tell us whether you have the windows open in whatever abode you lay your head. It is 70 degrees here in Catonsville, and we just opened up the windows on our main floor of our house, and man, it feels good outside.
It
It
does.
was a little humid over the weekend, strangely humid, but such is life. That's what happens.
Is life.
We went to the excuse me.
Talk for just 1 second. Okay.
I'm trying. We went to the Orioles park on Sunday. The Orioles didn't come,
Yeah.
but we did. They lost 24-2. It was
Quite the beatdown.
conveniently the next day they announced that people could now subscribe to Masson, which is the channel that you can watch the Orioles on. So if you don't want to make yourself miserable by going to the ballpark and watching the game, you can now stream it on Masson without cable, which is, kind of nice.
It is. All right. I think it is now shared on the Christian Temple page.
All right. I've run out of things to talk about because basketball season is waiting. Although, very exciting to see what happens with the new WNBA teams. Now there used to be 144 WNBA players, and now there's 100. I think it's 158 or 162. I can't remember. But they added a new team this year, so that's exciting.
How many people are added per franchise? Like whenever you have each team.
Each team, I think, has 12 players on it.
Really?
So I guess that would be 156 players.
Did they have any reserves or something like that?
Not really.
Really?
No.
I'm learning a lot.
Interesting in the WNBA as opposed to the NBA or even in the MLB. They only have a certain number of players on rosters, and everybody else does not get a contract. So you can, before the deadline, sign someone if someone has to go on IR or something like that.
Okay.
You can sign an additional player, but those are going to be players who didn't get other contracts anywhere.
Interesting. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Sorry it took me a minute with the technical glitch. We'll get that worked out. But we're glad that you're here. We start off every Talking Toast by hopping into some sorry. I just saw the comment. Not. It's not there yet.
We're getting there.
Yeah. What was I trying to say? We start every Talking Toast by pulling back the curtain on the creative process, and we usually start with some sports talk or something like that. And so, we're excited about it, and
Excited about.
I'm sorry, I'm floundering here for a second.
I'm sorry.
My brain is mush. I just got off of one meeting and came to this one, and then we had like a technical thing, and so my brain's still like, why isn't the Facebook thing logged in? So yeah, we pull back the curtain on the creative process, and we would love to know where you are tonight. Where are you chiming in from? Where are you? Yeah, you did. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. Like I said, I'm sorry. I was tuned in.
Welcome to Talking Toast. We are a live podcast where we talk spirituality, we talk
sports.
Sometimes we talk about things that are happening in our world, and we make sense of all of these things as we're able and in real time, and
or hold them open and don't make sense of them.
Yeah, exactly. And in the process, somewhere along the way, we start coming up with ideas together with you for our sermons on Sunday.
Yep. We start every Talking Toast by asking the question, what is sustaining you? So chime in. Let us know what's sustaining you. Let us know where you're viewing from tonight. Let us know, what's your undercurrent? What's the thing that's pulling you along? What's the thing, as Barbara Brown Taylor would say, is saving your life right now? Kate Calloway, will you go first? What is sustaining you?
Well, on Saturday, we spent the day at the Rodale Institute, which is an organic farm. It's like the mother of all organic farms in Pennsylvania.
It really is like the mother.
Yeah.
It's not like that's a phrase like the mother of all, but like it's like
the mothership.
Yeah.
And so there we got to spend the day with Rob Bell, who's kind of been a guru of ours, and he did some teaching all day. So it was an interesting way to spend Holy Saturday. It's an interesting way to spend like our busiest time of the year. But it was also utterly delightful and restful, and it stirred some things. It was really good. He was talking about living authentically in the world, and his kind of perception of how to do that. And anyway, it was just really neat.
It was absolutely life-giving, and learned so much.
Yeah.
In that, and there's also something about people like that who not only like do you learn something, but it's also a discovery, like what's deep down. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that happened for me. I think that happened for you.
Yeah.
And drew some things out.
Yeah.
Which was really great.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say, like, we're both in this, like, I don't know, middle passage, midlife crisis, whatever you want to call it. We're asking questions of ourselves of, like, how do we want to live in this world? Like, what do we want to, in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, what do we want our lives to look like? How are we showing up in the world? What are we doing now to help us live into those things? And I think those kinds of questions were the kinds of questions that were left kind of on the table for us at the
Yeah.
Rodale stuff, and
It was really
not
cool.
that he answered them nor avoided them, but just kind of held them and
Yeah,
looked at them from different angles, and I think that was really helpful.
it was. I'd also say that what's sustaining me is leaving. That it was this very interesting weekend. I felt like we had a really good Maundy Thursday service that was meaningful, and then Friday was kind of we didn't do a Good Friday service, so we kind of moved around and finished things up and that kind of stuff. Saturday we went to Rodale. Sunday was absolutely delightful as well. The Easter service, if you haven't gone back to watch, if you're looking for an Easter service to go back and watch, Christian Temples was really, really powerful and meaningful, and it was just a good. Yeah, Chantel said it was beautiful.
Chantel, I read
Yeah.
that you have strep. I'm so sorry.
But Chantel's right. It was beautiful. The choir sang so well, and we had
gorgeous.
soloist Nora sang, and it was just and then we had a young bell player playing, and it was really, really special. So I hope that if you're looking for one of those kind of services, you'll go back and watch. And that's the gift of technology right now, is you can go back and do those things. And so anyway, that was, I think all of that together is sustaining me.
And you're forgetting our great day at the ballpark.
Yeah, the ballpark was a lot of fun. I had a great time.
We kind of went with our chosen family, and,
Yeah,
and
just-
it was just like, it was great
Well, it was fun.
for
and,
the company.
Yeah, and it really didn't matter about the score. It was just kind of hanging out, and there's something about eating a hot dog at the ballpark, and I ate this. I don't know what this was called. I can't remember, Chester or something like that. But it was this huge sausage that was Old Bay sausage, and then it had crab dip on top, and then some corn, and then some green onions, and then fried green tomatoes sliced, which is the weirdest combination. Amazing, absolutely amazing. And so, yeah, I'm still being sustained by by the crab dog. Anyway, thank you, Alexa, for that. I appreciate it. So, this week, Sunday after Easter.
Yeah, and this is the week that pretty much every pastor in the United States takes off, and we thought we were going to be taking off, but then we didn't, and here we are. And they call it Holy Humor Sunday, the Sunday after Easter, and I don't really know the origins of that,
I guess we need to do some
because it's
research.
not particularly a funny story, but. I don't know. But so this week, we're going to be preaching from the same story and just taking a little different take on the same story.
We think.
Maybe. Who knows? But it's the story of Thomas, doubting Thomas, who misses the Jesus appearance and says, I'm not going to believe unless I see the wounds in his side. And a week later, Jesus shows up, and old Thomas sees and believes. So Thomas gets a bad rap, and John will talk about that in a little while, but I just think it's really funny. So maybe this is the holy humor in it. It's ironic funny, because Thomas is seen as like doubting Thomas because he wasn't in the room when Jesus shows up.
Yeah.
And all of the sudden the disciples are like, yeah, we saw him, we believe. And yet they forget that it was not but a few moments ago that they were shunning the women who were telling them, hey, something happened at the tomb is empty, we think, whatever. And they were projecting their own stuff. Sorry, I'm
getting into this one.
about it. So what happens in this story? Just to take the 30,000 foot view, the women encounter the empty tomb, and they come running back. Mary Magdalene is called the Apostle of the Apostles. She's the one who tells them. They come running back to where the male disciples were staying in locked doors because they were afraid. They come back and tell them, and the women are not believed. They're not believed. Now, the disciples who do not believe the women eventually have this experience where Jesus walks through the walls and comes into the room, and then all of a sudden they believe.
Yeah.
These disciples who had previously been hesitant to believe this thing about Jesus or whatever, now all of a sudden are sure. And Thomas, who wasn't there to experience, is like, I don't know about that. So they go from not believing, and almost ridiculing the women, to experiencing something and then ridiculing someone else who doesn't believe, just like they did. And so it's this I just think it's this irony of projection and projecting onto Thomas their own insecurities that they had just experienced.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was reading through the scripture again, John 20:19 through 31. And John leaves so many things open to interpretation in this. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the mark of the nails," that kind of thing, "I'm not going to believe." A week later, the disciples were again in the house.
Right, that's what I said.
Yeah, and that's when Jesus shows up. But you think about that, I wonder what those conversations were like for the week.
Oh, man, yeah.
What, I don't know. I just think that's fascinating, that for a week there...
Thomas is like, no.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, but for how long were Mary and Salome sitting at the table and being like, y'all,
yes,
come on, we know what we saw.
Yeah, it was an amount of time. It had to be on that day. Yeah. So
I think it's really interesting because Thomas becomes kind of a scapegoat of unbelief. The recipient of projections of insecurity, and I think the most gracious thing that Jesus could have done, the risen Christ could have done, was to show up to Thomas, to free him from that, to liberate him from that, becoming the dumping ground for everybody else's projections and insecurities. What?
He does, but throughout history, he still gets the nickname.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
We still get the projection.
Theoretically,
yeah,
he is liberated. Theoretically,
yeah.
Aren't we all just theoretically liberated, right? Theoretically liberated from his being the dumping ground for the disciples' projections. And in a similar way, Mary is liberated from being the dumping ground for the disciples' projections. And in a similar way, the resurrection is the ultimate liberation from the projections of the disciples who thought they knew what kind of Messiah was coming, from the crowd who, was the one to say, crucify him, all of that, from the empire. We can go down the list that resurrection, what it does, and I'm talking metaphysically here, is it liberates us from the projections of other people.
It flips it all.
Yeah, from other people being able to dump on us their own insecurities.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where you go with that. And I think that's really meaningful. Yeah. And you think about, like, historically, how we have a problem with repeating the same things over and over again.
Yeah.
And I think about later in Acts when Peter shows up and says, not Peter, Paul shows up. Well, this Saul basically kind of shows up at this point. It was Saul and then it becomes Paul. Shows up and says, I had this experience, and the disciples are like, I don't know about that,
Yeah.
It's like, it just keeps on repeating in that.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm just kind of fascinated by that.
We are very quick to doubt others' religious experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whether they be experiences that affirm faith or experiences that deny it.
Yeah.
And I think Jesus, the risen Christ, liberates from that as well.
Yeah. Would you read what Shanta?
I think non-belief is a more compassionate view. There is no power that decides that I deserve more than anyone else. If seeing the suffering in the world does not give you doubt, I would say you're not seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, I can't remember who it was now all of a sudden, but there's a theologian who talks about sometimes the most faithful response to terrible things is to not believe, and to not believe in the God of the perpetrator of those terrible things. Sometimes the most faithful thing to do is non-belief.
Yeah.
In some of those cases, yeah.
Well, I think I don't know where I'm going with this yet, but I think part of the thing that I'm wrestling with in this is that we're looking at this text from a lens 2,000 years later. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to see how, like, these patterns keep repeating themselves and those kinds of things. But it's so hard being in a church setting with 2,000 years of history to look back on these kinds of events and not fully grasp that all of this is happening in chaos and mystery.
Right.
We put it together, like we flower the cross, we bring in the Easter lilies. It's all good stuff. We show that spring is here, that there's something different happening, all of that. We have all the visuals. Mm-hmm. But yet, I think some of that shifts it from understanding that there's also this, like, chaos and mysterious thing happening that, in Mark, it captures it well, right?
Yeah, it just ends with them being in fear. It
ends in them being in fear, and they didn't tell anyone. And I think we kind of gloss over these things, that the structures that we have in place now
that seem so familiar and certain to us.
To
some people.
These structures took a long time to develop. And it's amazing to me for someone to say, like, I don't believe in evolution. Well, if you're a part of a church, you're a part of evolution because the church has evolved, taken all different kinds of routes in all these different kinds of things. So I think about the, and I know that they're talking about biological evolution, but still, the evolution in general, like, all these things, all of creation evolves, and the church has evolved, and this church starts in mystery and chaos, and really it's fledgling communities, and it's individuals, and then it's fledgling communities starting in chaos and mystery. And to me, it resonates with the beginning of Genesis, because all of a sudden there's, in the Hebrew, it's tohum vavohum. It's this.
It's watery chaos.
It's watery chaos,
Yeah.
and that's the place of the creativity. That's the place of
Yeah.
new life. That's the place of rebirth. And there's no shortage of linking. You know, if you're a good, a lot of these things were written for a Jewish audience, right?
Right.
So
And-
they're going to immediately think, ooh, like mystery chaos.
And there
This
are
takes us
flags,
back.
and there are
Yeah.
flags there for it. So yeah,
Primordial
the primordial
soup. Yes, absolutely.
So there are flags there for it. On the first day of the new week, this is a flag that's supposed to raise a person's attention to see, like, the first day of the new week. Meaning, we've got 1 week of creation at the beginning of the text. Then we've got this new week, this new creation that's happening on the first day of that week.
Yeah.
And so there are clues along the way with that. Now, I don't want to say like there are clues and like the text has to be deciphered or anything like that, but I think this is really important to grasp a hold of, that what seems so certain to us looking back felt so out of control, had to have felt out of control for the people living in the moment.
Well, and the proof, if you're looking for something like that, is what day was Easter this year? April 20th. What day was Easter last year? I can't remember, but it wasn't April 20th, right? It moves around because it's the first Sunday of, and it kind of goes along with the church calendar, but hear me out for a second. It moves around because you always want to have that on a Sunday with this. So it's always linking back. Easter is always linking back to that story of creation.
Right. It doesn't move days like Christmas does.
No, but you would think that if there was an event that happened like this resurrection in the telling of this,
You would mark the day itself.
you would mark the day
It
itself.
wouldn't shift like
You know what I mean?
Christmas does, is what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, is that it's this, and they're figuring out, these are all ways that they're figuring out how this is all happening, because it's chaotic and it's mysterious in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and I think even more so, the proof is in the pudding. The chaos proof is in the pudding with, actually this year is an exception, but Western Easter and Eastern Orthodox Easter are different days most of the time. This year they were on the same day. I don't know why, but I do find that really weird. But like, that shows even an inner chaos still all these years later.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 420 Easter. Yes. Yeah, we didn't really mention that on Sunday. But that was funny.
I did see one advertisement for a church that said, "We'd love to see you this Easter." Anyway.
Well, that was good. Well, thank you for participating tonight. We'll see where all this goes on Sunday. Bring your doubts, bring your questions, bring your chaos, bring the mystery that you are enveloped in, and we'll see. We'll bring ours.
And don't project it onto somebody else.
Yeah, just bring it.
Just bring it in your pocket, not in anyone else's.
That's great.
Don't make anyone else carry yours.
That's great.
Well, we've talked. It is time to do a little toasting. So, friends, cheers to you wherever you are, and as you go wherever you're going, remember that no one can put their projections of insecurities on you, because the resurrection shows us that we are liberated from others' insecurities.
And friends, if it feels like life is mysterious and chaotic, you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. And maybe, just maybe, there is a new creation in the works.
Cheers.
Cheers, friends.
Cheers, y'all.
Chantel, you are hilarious. All right. Well, this has been fun. And we'll see y'all next week, I think, right?
Next week.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
next week.
Sunday. Oh, man. I'm really excited about next Sunday.
On May the 4th.
Yes.
It's a Sunday.
Yep.
Stay tuned.
That's exactly right. Dun, dun, dun.